Hi my friends, welcome to another exciting one. Today we are going to learn how to create this cool 3D render from scratch. Along the way we are going to learn some cool tricks like dynamic paint and then how to add water droplets and more. Without much talks, let's jump right into it and get started. Before we start, please check out my cosmetic bottles pack, which contains 20 cosmetic bottles, 5 pre-made scenes, materials, gobos and a lot more to help you create professional looking cosmetic renders in no time. Link in the description below. So to get started, as usual, we are going to start from scratch. So let's start with our general. Let's delete our cube and then our lights, X to delete them, and then let's add in a cylinder. So I'll do Shift A cylinder to add in a cylinder. I'll toggle this up and then let's change this to 24, right? So 24 is nice for us. So now let's hit on tab to jump into edit mode and then let's start modeling our bottle. So the bottle is going to be a very simple one. So first let's go to our edge select mode. Alt click to select this edge at the top here. And let's do GZ to bring it up to somewhere like this. It's fine. And then we do I to insert it inside, and then let's S to scale it to insert it inside a bit more, and then E to extrude it out like this, and then another insertion, so I to insert it to somewhere here, then E extrude it out like this, right? So once we are done, let's model the top part. So the top part, let's first add in a loop cut right here, and then let's go to our right orthographic view. So you hit on X here to go to your right orthographic view, alt click to select this entire loop here, and then R to rotate it till you get something like this, right? So this is something we are going in for, right? So next let's come to our X or our Y like this, and then let's select two facing faces. So we select these two faces here like that, and then we do E to extrude it out, and then S to scale it down. Then we can bring it up a bit like this, right? So let's hit on S to scale it down so that we get this nice boxy shape. So hit on X for delete, and then let's delete the faces, right? So let's hit on 2 to go to our edge select mode, alt click to select this entire edge, and then as you can see it's looking like this. So we can do E to extrude and then S to scale the extrusion down. So we have something like this, and then E to extrude it inside on the Y axis. So let's bring it back, then maybe we can add in some loop cuts here and there, but we'll come to that later. So this is just the basic shape of our bottle we are going in for. So once we are done with this, let's hit on tab to jump out of edit mode, Ctrl+2 to add in our loop subdivision surface. So if I go to my modifier, so we have subdivision with the level set to 2. Now let's fix our shape. So let's jump into edit mode by hitting on tab, and let's focus on the bottom part. So first let's select everything, go to our face select mode, select everything, and then I to insert, and then I to insert it a bit more, I to insert, and then G to bring it up so that we have this level of detail here. Next, let's go to our edge select mode, alt click to select this entire edge, Control B to bevel, then add in one bevel like this, tab out of edit mode, Ctrl+A, and then let's apply our scale. Now let's continue and let's focus on the top part. So let's tab into edit mode once again, Control alt click to select this entire loop, and then Control B to add in a bevel like that. Now let's select the middle part here. So to do that, let's first hide our subdivision here a bit, alt click, select this middle part, Control B to add in a bevel like that. Then we're going to do the same thing for here and here again. So Control B, and let's add in our nice bevel. Now if you unhide it, this is what we have so far. Let's right click and then let's shade it smooth to have this smooth shading. Next, let's tab into edit mode once again, 3, and then let's select this top part, I to create an insertion, then I to add in another insertion like that. so that we have this nice and simple. So next, let's focus on this part. Tab into edit mode, and then let's Control R, loop cut, and then let's bring the loop cut right in the middle, and we can sharpen this part a bit more. So Control R, create a loop cut, and then let's drag to bring this loop cut up here, so that will make this place sharp like that. So that's it for the modeling of the bottle. Next, let's focus on the backdrop and then the plane, right? So let's do Shift plus A, and then let's add in a plane, right? So this is what we are going to use for the water, or for the droplet, for the dynamic paint later on, right? So let's select this one, and then S, and then let's scale it down like this. You can scale it down a bit more, and then Control A, and then let's apply the scale. Now let's focus on the plane. So let's select the plane, tab into edit mode, right click, and then let's add in some subdivision. Let's increase the number of cuts to 50. Make sure your PC can handle, else you can do something less, because this is what we are going to use for the dynamic paint. So you need a little bit more of subdivision for it to be able to work properly. So I'll set mine to 50. Tab out of edit mode, and then let's add our dynamic paint. So with the plane selected, I'll go to come here, and I'll locate my physics property, and then I'll select my dynamic paint to add in a dynamic paint. I'll leave the type to canvas, and then I'll add canvas, right? So we'll come down to surfaces, and then where we see paint, let's change it from paint to wave, right? So that's all set. We can make a little bit of tweak here. Maybe let's set the damping to 0 for now, and let's leave it as is. Everything as is is fine. So next, let's add in an effector that's going to affect the dynamic paint, or we call it brush. So first, let's do Shift A, and then let's add in a circle. Shift A, and then let's add in a UV sphere, right? Let's scale the UV sphere down a bit, then G, and then let's bring it up to the side. Now let's scale it down, and then Control A, and then let's apply our scale, right? So we're going to use this UV sphere to affect this plane. So let's select the UV sphere, then let's hit on dynamic paint, then let's change the type from canvas to brush, and then let's add a brush, right? We are going to leave all the settings as it is, and everything is fine to go. So now, if I select this sphere, and then I hit on play, I can use G, and then I'll be able to affect this plane by moving it in and out, and then clicking out. And then once I find something I want, I'll just hit on space bar to pause the scene, right? And then I can have my nice wavy scene at the bottom here. Simple as that. So now what you have to do is I'll go back, make sure my sphere is at the center, then I have my dynamic paint. So first, what we have to do is select our object, and then let's shade it smooth for now. And then next, we will select our effector, or our circle, our UV sphere. Then I'll hit on play to play, and then I'll just move my UV sphere up and down to create this wave, right? So you can move it up and down to create the wave. So once you get what you want, just click and then hit on pause to pause that frame. So I'll do it a couple of times. Then once I get what I want, I'll just hit on pause. I'll click outside and then hit on pause to pause that frame, right? So just play around with it until you find something you love. So I'll go with this frame, right? So once I get what I want, I just select the plane. I'll go to my modifiers tab, and then dynamic paint, and then I'll hit on apply to apply my dynamic paint. So now this is now applied to the plane. So I can now select this sphere and then X to delete it from the scene. So now with this applied, let's add in some subdivision to make it look nice. So I'll hit on add subdivision surface. Now increase it to 2, and then increase this to 3 as well, so that we have this nice wave. So before we jump into the fun part of adding some materials and lighting, let's add in some water droplets onto our bottle. So to do that, we are going to use an icosphere and then some particle simulation. So let's do Shift A, and then let's add in an icosphere. Sorry, not UV sphere. Shift A, then let's add in an icosphere. Let's decrease the subdivision to 1. And then let's scale it down so it's very small. Then G, let's bring it to the side like this. Right click, let's shade it smooth, and then let's add a subdivision surface. Let's set it to 1. It's fine. Then maybe we can select it and decrease the size a bit like this. Now let's select our bottle, and then let's go to our particles tab. Then let's hit on plus to add in a new particle. Let's change it from emitter to hair. Now let's decrease the number of hair to, let's say, 100, so that we have a few hair. Next, let's go to our renders tab. Now let's change the render from path to objects, and then let's come down here, and then let's hit on the eyedropper tool to select our icosphere as the object. Right. So once we do that, we can see that our particles are being applied to the bottle. Right, it's as simple as that. So hit on tab. In case yours might look something like this, let me quickly demonstrate. X to dissolve edges tab. So yours might look something like this. If it does, all you have to do is add in a couple of loop cuts so that the particles have some extra points to appear on. So next, we can, into our particles tab, we just have to do a few settings and then we are done. Increase the scale here with the scale. So let's bring it to somewhere here, and then we can add in some scale randomness so that some of the particles are small and then some of them are big, like that. Then we can play with the seed, maybe decrease the number to, let's say, 50. Right, and then we are done. So once you're okay with your particles, let's now jump into the fun stuff. Let's see how we can add in some materials and lighting to bring our scene to life. So I'll bring my cursor to this side, drag to create a new window here. I'll hit on my camera view, then maybe change our camera to 1080 by 1080, like that. Then I'll drag here, change it to my shader editor like this. So this is where we're going to add our materials. And then let's lock our camera to view for now, and then let's add in a couple of materials. So first, I'll change this to my look dev mode so that we can see what we are doing. Then with this selected, with the bottle selected, I'll hit on new to create a new material. Right, so it's going to be a very simple material. Let's change the base color to black, and then let's add in a coat weight of 1. Now let's change the tint of the coat to black as well, so that we have this nice and shiny material. But let's decrease the roughness so that it's not all that shiny, like that. Right. So next, let's add in our label. So I'll select the principal BSDF, Ctrl+T to add in an image texture. I'll hit on open, and then I'll select my label. It's just a couple of text. I'll click on open to add it into our scene. Right. But we are not going to plug it in directly like this. We are going to use it as a mask. So I'll select this, Shift D, and then to create a duplicate, and I'll change the base color to white. Now I'll change the coat color tint to white as well. Right. Let me drag. So we are going to mix these two shaders using this as a mask. So Shift A, mix shader, and I'll put it right in the middle like this. And then I'll plug this here. And then we are going to use the color of this label here for the mix shader. Right. So once we do that, this is what we have. But let's swap the colors so that the black becomes the main color, and then the white becomes the color of our material, our label, like that. Right. So let's make it metallic, and then maybe decrease the roughness a bit, like that. So this is what we are going for. Next, let's go into our UV unwrapping tab, and then let's position this properly into our scene. So I'll hit on UV, and then I'll select everything right? So first let's select one, hit on S to scale it down, then bring it down somewhere here. Select this one, S to scale it down, then bring it down to somewhere here, right? The main focus is on this one, so I'll select everything and then I'll bring it down until it's covering like this, right? So maybe we can scale it up to make it a bit smaller like this. So once you are done with it, let's go back to our labels tab, and then we have this nice. So this material is already set up. Next, let's focus on the droplet. So I'll select the icosphere here, or you can come to this side and select it. I'll hit on new to create a new material. I'll make the transmission to 1, and then as you can see, we can decrease the roughness to almost a 0 like, and then maybe make the color a bit darker, and then we change the IOR from 1.5 to 1.33. that's the IOR of water, right? Now we have this nice droplet going on for us. So next, let's focus on our main ripple. Select the ripple and new, then we do the same thing, transmission to 1, decrease the roughness, and then IOR to 1.33 like that. So that's it. It's set for the water droplet as well. So next, let's focus on our composition. Once we are done with all our materials, so let's focus on setting up our composition. I'll select the plane and then maybe increase it a bit, and let's see how we can create a very nice composition. So what I'm thinking of is tilting a part of either the plane or the camera to create this nice composition. So let's select the plane, R, Y, and let's tilt it to the side a bit, right? And then let's select our bottle, then G, and let's make it touch almost like it's touching our plane, and then maybe R on the Y axis. We can rotate our bottle a bit like that, and that's all set. Let's add in our lighting and materials, and then we call it a day, right? So I'll come to my render engine, change it from EV to cycles. I hit Control S to save my progress, then change the device from CPU to GPU compute, right? And then now let's go to our render view, and then we have this. So first, let's change this from object to world, and then let's make sure our background color is set to black so that we don't see anything in our scene. Now we can add in a couple of lights. So first, let's do Shift A, then let's add in an area light, cheesy, and bring it to the top like this. Then we can increase the power to, let's say, 100 for the start. We can increase the scale like this, and then let's add in an extra backdrop at the back. So let's do Shift A, we go to mesh plane, then G, bring it back, R, rotate it on the X axis 90, then we can scale it up like this. So with the backdrop selected, we go to our world, our object, then let's add in a material. So we add in a principal BSDF material, then let's make it total black like that, right? So next, let's add in a point light right at the back to create this kind of halo effect. So I'll go to Shift A, light, point light, G, and then I'll bring my point light right at the back here so that we create this nice lighting effect. Let's increase the power to, let's say, 50, or maybe 80 or 70. At this point, just play around with it till you find something that works best and nice for you. Next, let's add in a couple of area lights at the sides to highlight our object even more. So Shift A, light, then we add in an area light, G, bring it to the side, and then maybe we can bring it up, and then we can point our area light to our object like this. Maybe we can scale it on the y-axis so that our area light is a bit thinner, like that. Nice and beautiful. Let's add another one at the side. So shift D to create a duplicate, and then let's point it to the side like that. Then maybe we can add a last one facing towards our area light. So let's select this, shift D, now bring it to this side, and then with this selected, can point it towards our object. Then maybe we can increase this main one like this, then maybe increase the power to, let's say, 50. Right, now we have this nice effect going on for us. So you can just play around with it till you find something that works best for you. The creativity is all up to you. You can play around with it as much as you want till you find what works best for you. Right, so you can select this, maybe you can increase the droplet, make it a bit bigger. So I'll go to my particles, then I'll find my scale, then maybe increase it a bit like that, so that we have a bit bigger scale of particles. Maybe increase or decrease the seed, or play with the seed. Right, so you find what works best for you. Right, so once you are done with your scene and you're happy with it, maybe bring this up a bit so that it decreases the reflection a bit. Right, once we are happy with our scene, final step is to render. So I'll go to my render properties, color management, and then change my look to, let's give it maybe a high contrast so that it looks nice and punchy like that. And then finally we can decrease our max sample. So I'll go with 100 for this render. I think it will look fine. You can increase it as much as you want depending on your PC. And then finally we will hit on a render image to render our final image. Right, nice. So this is what we have. This is the final image. Thank you very much for staying with me and watching. I hope you learned something new today. See you on the next one. It's my friend. Peace out.